This is funny. He's the best. Okay, guys, this is the Habits and Hustle podcast, and today we have John, who created BoomBoom Naturals, which is a natural inhaler, and it's the #1 natural inhaler. So thank you so much for coming.
Of course. Happy to be here.
Oh, great. Thank you. So I remember when I was a kid, I would always use those vapor inhalers when I had a really bad cold, and this kind of looks like that's what it is, yeah?
Yeah. Same delivery mechanism as kind of the old school Vicks inhalers or kind of those white label brands.
So basically what made you think of it? Like, why did you decide to do this? Because those are like old school from, I don't want to age myself, but like 30 years ago or so. And like, are they not out anymore? Are they not popular? Because I actually had a bad cold a couple weeks ago and I was searching high and low for them and I could not find them. And they worked. And they were.
For sure. So we did not get the idea from actually the kind of the Vicks inhalers you see here, because those are more aimed towards like sinus and cold, as you mentioned.
Right.
Our story goes back to actually Southeast Asia in Thailand, where it's not so much about the cold and sinus, it's more about using it for every day and using it to feel more alert, awake, refreshed. So if you go to like Southeast Asia or anywhere in Thailand, you'll see like 10 to 12 different brands. In any convenience store, there's just a bunch of them everywhere.
Wow, kind of like a smelling salt kind of thing, right? To kind of get your senses awake.
Similar idea, activating those smell receptors to like perk yourself up, but without like harsh ammonia and some of the chemicals that are in some of those products.
Right. Well, like for example, not mentioning anything, but starts with a V, maybe ends with an S type of thing.
Yeah. So at least from my understanding with like the Vicks inhalers,
right.
I didn't see them anywhere either for a while. And what I found out was they actually pulled theirs off the market because it had an active ingredient in it, lev-methamphetamine. And some of like the other like Rite Aid brands and Walgreens brands inhalers will still have that active ingredient. But if you go to the Vicks website, they no longer have that. They relaunched their Vicks inhaler as like a non-medicated version. And so they do have the inhaler out now, but you probably didn't see it in stores because they kind of pulled back, and I think they're now reintroducing this non-medicated version. But if you go online, you can find it, I'm sure.
I'm sure, like anything else you find online.
Yeah.
So do these, even though this wasn't the main reason why you created this, wasn't to, help with nasal congestion, does it actually help? Because I would imagine it's a very easy way to kind of help with this kind of like congestion or colds, because you're sticking up your nose practically, right?
100%. Yeah. The menthol in there, the peppermint oil in there definitely opens you up a bit. We are very careful with what we claim because we don't want it to fall into the cold and sinus allergy product category. We feel like there's a bigger opportunity in kind of the mass like refreshment, rejuvenation market and an alternative way to feeling refreshed, as opposed to maybe even having an energy drink. You can, sniff your BoomBoom and feel a little bit more awake.
I love that. So then what made you even think, what was your background? Like, why did you even think of doing this?
Yeah. So both of my parents are functional medicine practitioners. So I grew up with a pretty alternative background. Both are chiropractors by trade, but more in like the energy medicine now as they've kind of evolved with their practice. And so essential oils were always a big part of my upbringing.
Oh, gotcha.
And the co-founder of the product had actually traveled to Thailand and came back with the idea and was like, look, we should look into this. And ever since then, I've just been completely pulled to the product, and it really kind of made it my mission to bring it to the masses.
Right. And I know you say you're the #1 inhaler, but is there a lot of competition though? Because like I said, I don't really see it anywhere. So
there's no, the unique kind of differentiator with our inhalers is that they're flavored too, right? So there are no other flavored inhalers. So there's melon, winter mint, berry, cinnamon, we'll probably have a few others at some point. In terms of the kind of the cold and sinus and allergy products, there's Olbus is a brand that's in Whole Foods. They're the only inhaler that's in Whole Foods. And then you have Vicks, and then there's a few other players that have popped up on Amazon, probably because they've seen the success that we've had.
Right.
But again, it's still focused on kind of that niche market of not feeling so good.
Okay, so a couple things. #1, I mean, you were on Shark Tank.
Yeah.
And you did not take a deal. which I want to understand. I actually want to know about the process, because I know a lot of entrepreneurs, like that's like the thing they're striving to do and to be on, and it's super competitive.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to know, like in all honesty, how was the experience? And I don't just say, oh, it was great and lovely, if it wasn't.
My experience with Shark Tank was amazing. I a huge shout out to like all the people that put on that show. At ABC, Sony, like it's 10 seasons now, and it's very dialed in.
I love it as a person watching it.
Yeah.
It's very captivating.
Yeah.
But behind the scenes, like what's the process to even get on?
Yeah. So I did sign a very lengthy agreement. So
Right.
I don't want to give like too much away, but the actual steps to getting on are pretty straightforward. You do like an open call, which we actually bypassed because I had sent an email in like 6 months prior. And they called me and they're like, hey, like what's going on with your business? Is it still up and running? Yada, yada. And they're like, hey, can you get us a video in the next like week? So I bypassed the open call. We sent in the video. And then if they like the video, you basically get paired up with like a team of producers.
Okay.
And then they help you create kind of your pitch, which then you have to do another video. And then that gets shown to some of the executives. And then from there, you literally have you go in person and you pitch to like 25 people, like none of the sharks, but like all the executive producers basically of the show give you like the final like green light. Okay, these guys can go on.
Right. So actually to get even before you even get to the chance of possibly even making it on television, you're actually already auditioned multiple times.
Yeah.
And been rehearsed and have already had like some kind of performance, so to speak.
Yep.
Do they have like, what was your, not to interrupt you, but what were you at in revenue by the time why they were so interested in you?
So our first full year of business was 2016.
Okay.
And then 2017 was the second full year. So we went from 225,000 to 756,000.
Oh my God.
In 2017. And then this last year, 2018, we were projecting when we went on the show to hit 1.1 million, and we came in just below that. So.
Oh wow! So about 3 years of business and about 1 million revenue.
Yep.
Okay. And so where were you selling? You were selling on your website?
Yeah, on our
Amazon?
website, Amazon. We go and do a lot of live events as well. So we have had a lot of success. Success. A lot of sex. Yeah.
Wow, with these BoomBoom inhalers, that's awesome.
A lot of success selling.
Am I making you nervous?
No, not at all. At live events. So music festivals
okay.
is a really good place.
Very red right now. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to call that out. Sorry, go ahead.
Love it. We go and sell at a lot of music festivals. So we'll go and set up shop in 3 days and have a lot of traffic come through. For us, that's a really good way to close the loop from the people seeing it online maybe for the first time and seeing some of our fun marketing to being like, oh, I've seen that online, and they'll come up and they'll try it. So those are really the only 3 places we've been selling. We're in maybe like 200 retail stores, just randomly throughout kind of the country.
Like health food stores or?
Convenience stores, health food stores, really just kind of, they're all very random. A lot of inbound inquiries like, hey, we want to sell your product in our massage shop or whatever it is. Right now, we actually just hired on our first kind of full-time outbound salesperson. So you should start seeing us in more retail locations more sooner than later, which is exciting.
But they weren't so interested in like the Shark Tank people. They were more interested. Were they interested in the numbers? How you went from 225 to 725,000 to a projection of 1.1? Did they even care, or is it more that they just love the product and they thought, oh, this is a cool thing to have on the show? Like, is it more product based, or is it story based?
I felt like it was more product based.
Right.
It's more like, is this going to be good for TV? Is it unique enough?
Right.
How's their story? And for us, I felt like it was more product focus and good for TV. I mean, they haven't had anything like BoomBoom on the show. I mean, there isn't anything like BoomBoom, but to see like, Mark Cuban or whoever put something up their nose on TV, it's good TV.
Right, it's visual. It's a great visual. Right.
And we know that when most people try it for the first time, there's usually a pretty positive reaction, at least like, whoa, like, because they haven't tried anything like that before.
Right.
Especially since it's flavored. So we felt like that was kind of our unique thing. And then my wife actually came on the show with me which was a lot of fun. That was a once in a lifetime experience.
Oh,
and
so she doesn't normally work with you on the regular.
I mean, in any startup, there's everybody's kind of all hands on deck.
Yeah.
She's a really good marketing mind. So she helped out with some of the marketing and some of the live event stuff.
Right.
But she's a dentist by trade. So she.
Oh God. So nothing to do with this, really.
Nothing to do with this. Well, I mean, somewhat, because your nasal cavity it's all connected, but
it's a part of the face.
It was. I mean, definitely a positive having a doctor next to me on talking about it and being like, hey, and we could pull out some studies and like really back up some of the things we were talking about. And so that was also part of it, is like our story and us going on together as this married couple and kind of pushing for, the American dream, making your business happen. So
of course, and it's like great TV for having that kind of camaraderie with you and your wife. So then, what happened when you got onto the show? So then you go on. Now, was your episode aired? Because I know a lot of people actually get to that point and then their episode doesn't even show, right? It's not aired.
I believe they film enough pitches to do 26 episodes, but only 22. Like, I think ABC only bought like 22 episodes. So some people do not get aired.
Right.
We were aired on October 28th of 2018. And crazy enough, I feel very blessed. We actually got rerun like last week.
That's great.
So they did they're doing like Sundays, Shark Tank, like double headers where they'll play the new one and then they'll rerun another episode. And we got picked, which was awesome.
So what happened when your episode actually airs? What does your numbers turn? Like, do they spike and what happens?
So I was there with my ads guy. We're looking at like Google Analytics live and watching all this stuff happen live because it airs on the East Coast.
Right.
I guess it was 6 p.m. our time. And you just see the traffic just like start to go up. And I'm like refreshing my Shopify app and my Amazon app and like nothing's happening. And I was like, oh my God, are people not ordering the product? But the next thing you know, like it just glitched. There's so many people on the site ordering that it just didn't update.
Oh my gosh.
So we ended up, not to give like very specific numbers, but we did.
Actually, I want to have specific numbers.
We did. Okay. So to give you some reference, we did as many orders in the night of Shark Tank and the week following as we did the entire last year.
Wow. So why the week following? Did they show commercials that had you on there? Like, why would there be a week following? Or
the week after.
The week after.
Because it's.
I thought you meant the week following going into the episode.
No, because it gets. I see. People are DVRing it. It drops on Hulu
like
the next day.
Like a week after the episode aired.
Yeah. So it aired that Sunday, and then that whole next week was totally crazy, and we were just like, getting orders. Wow. We have a third party that packs out all of our orders, and we got everything out within, I think, 10 days. We were a little bit backed up, but it was an amazing experience.
So what's the price point of each one then?
We have like a build your own 3-pack, which is what most people order for $19.95. And then we do our 5-pack, which is all 5 flavors for $29.95.
Okay. So it's very reasonably priced.
Yeah.
It's like, and so how long does each one last though for?
They keep that closed. It'll last for about 3 months.
Oh, good.
The intensity of it will slowly
dissipate, yeah.
But if you keep it closed and just like sitting on your desk, it'll last for, even more than a few months, but the intensity goes away and it's like, okay, time for a new one.
A new one.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's go back to Shark Tank. So then who offered you a deal? Like what happened when you walked in there?
Yeah, you kind of like black out. It was like,
I'm sure.
It was like my wife and I have seen every single episode. And so the door, like you're standing there between those first doors and like your cue is when the doors open, the first set of doors, and then you walk down. And when the door swings open, you're out of your own body. You're kind of like looking at yourself walking into the tank.
Oh my God. I love the show too, by the way. So I don't know. I didn't see your episode. That's why I don't watch everyone, but like I'm excited for you because it's so like I could just imagine the excitement and anxiety going in there.
And imagine this. So you walk up, you hit your mark because they show you all this like ahead of time. And you just stare at the sharks for about 30 seconds as the camera wraps around to get the shot they need. And then you like hear just a voice that says like, begin.
Oh my
and you just go. And Chelsea, my wife, was like, did you even hear them say begin? I was like, well, yeah, I started the pitch
Yeah.
because she came in, after that. But it was, it was a lot of fun. And then you go through the pitch. Like my biggest fear walking in was them not liking the product. So I obviously like blowing the pitch or stumbling on the pitch is like, we practiced so much. It was just second nature. There was no way we were going to mess up the pitch. But then you hand the samples out. And a lot of times what people don't really realize is your sense of smell is tied directly to memory. And so you have some people who smell like our winter mint flavor, for example, who used a similar flavor like chewing tobacco. And they're like, oh my God, that reminds me of my dip from 10 years ago.
Right.
And so my biggest fear was the smell they picked up first reminded them of something that they didn't like, which is hard because they all smell pretty damn good, at least in my opinion.
Like what's not to like about watermelon or winter mint? But,
and so we got through, they all tried it and they were like, and I'll show you the episode at some point. I'll send you the link.
Can you please?
It was,
I would love to see it.
They all loved it. They were all like, this is great. Robert was like, this is amazing. Like Lori was excited about it. Mark liked it. And Charles Barkley was the guest shark.
I was going to ask you, who was the guest shark? Okay.
Charles Barkley was on
I love him. Okay. Was he nice?
Oh yeah, he was nice. I grew up in Phoenix watching him play for the Suns. So it was just a very serendipitous, the 100%. Whole thing was a lot of fun. And we got through that first part, and once they all tried it and
what did you ask for, by the way? You didn't tell us what you asked for.
So we went in and asked for $300,000 for 10%.
Okay.
Which we felt was a fair valuation based off of where we're at and looking at other consumer products with like $1 million in revenue, like a 3x multiple seemed reasonable. But, we got down the pitch and there were some concerns here and there, but they got a little bit stuck on some of our margins going into retail. We went in saying, hey, we want to sell these for $3.99 right at the point of purchase. We feel like that's like the sweet spot. Although we've been selling them for $4.99 and $5.99 and $7.95 on our website. And so they got a little bit hung up on like, okay, well, why are you selling it for $7.95 on the website and you want to undercut yourself for $3.99? And
which is true.
Which is very true. Right. But our whole thing was, hey, we genuinely feel like this is a point of purchase product. And so if we can come in at that lower price point where it really is just like a mindless like grab to try it for the first time, that's the price point we needed to be at. And
based on what though? Do you have a business background, by the way? Like I know your parents were doctors or chiropractors function. Where did you go? Do you have an MBA? Do you have a?
I went to Emory University out in Atlanta and I went to the business school there, undergrad business school. Okay. Didn't do any MBA.
Not to say that makes a difference.
No.
I'm just wondering, like, were you basing on like Excel spreadsheets that you like an EBITDA that you had experience with before, or what, like where did you get the
price?
idea?
Yeah, the price point of $3.99 was purely from our own tests in retail.
Okay, that's what I wanted.
Yeah, going around. I spent 6 months going around LA, getting it in 7-Elevens and here and there and just seeing what happened. And $3.99 was that price point where it really just moved. And so we went in with that strategy and, reflecting now, maybe we could have done things a little bit differently with kind of how we price things out. But overall, we were super happy with just going in and having it doesn't always happen where you go in and you get an offer. And
what was the offer? You didn't tell us.
So Robert made us an offer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, everybody passed. They had their reasons why. Robert made us an offer, but he wanted 36% for $300,000.
Why 36? What was his reasoning? Like, why not 37 or 35?
Because myself and the other co-founder at that time both owned a little over 36% of the business. We had initial investors like way back in the day. Who invested like on the idea, right? And so he was like, I want to be in as the same level as you and the other guy. And I was like, okay, well, we can't do that. we countered. Wow. I said, would you do 15%? And he was like, no. And then I said, look, the most we were willing to do when we came in here is 20%. And he's like, can't do it. And so I was like, all right. They're like, thanks guys. So we walked away. Yep.
Oh, pretty crazy.
And then so the funniest part, and my wife and I always laugh at this, is you walk out and the camera's right there, and like we gave her post interview and all that. And Well, there's two funny things. One is you see before you go on and after you go on, it's required that you meet with their like on-site psychiatrist.
Are you
I
serious?
swear to God.
That's a great tidbit. I had no idea. So they have an on. Let me just like take that in for a second. So the Shark Tank has an on-site psychiatrist that everybody has to see before and after they go on and talk to the sharks.
Yes. And I was like,
I don't think anyone really knows about that.
yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said that, but
No, I don't. Why? No, I'm saying
No,
like,
I signed it.
that's
Whatever.
I actually think that's very smart and
It
like
is. Well,
it's super proactive on their part because you want to make sure that the people when they're leaving, they're not going to go kill themselves for not getting a deal.
And because you
You're
see
liable,
some of these
yeah.
people go on the show and they've have second mortgages on their home and they are all in,
100%.
like all in, and they get ripped apart. And
Oh, absolutely. You want to
and
make sure
I
they're
could
mentally
and,
sane.
And we went in, and I was like, that my feeling when we walked out was there. I had two feelings. One was that was awesome. That was so much fun. And then the other feeling was none of them really saw the bigger vision for the product. I've always seen this
Right.
as being everywhere in every convenience store, every Whole Foods, like every place where there's
like
products.
a 5-hour energy
Yeah,
kind of thing?
just
Okay.
everywhere. It's like anybody with a nose can use it. It's enjoyable, kind of like gum, kind of similar to
Yes.
gum.
I
Gum
guess
for your
so.
nose,
Anyone with the
right?
nose could use it.
And,
Yes.
and so they didn't see that, and that's okay, But those are the two kind of feelings that I left with when we kind of got out of there.
Because you're
But
seeing it as a quick pick me up, like you would like a 5-hour energy.
yeah, like a 5-hour, or even like throwing in a piece of gum. Like it's just, why do you put in gum? It's like, oh, it feels good.
It's
It's
a good pick.
refreshing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like,
Even though the price point's more expensive than gum, but you're trying to create a whole new category for
and
what that
it
is.
lasts for a long time.
Yeah. No, I
So,
understand. And also
yeah.
like no one's going to be more passionate about this than you, right? Because this
Yeah.
is your thing.
Yeah.
And so I can understand that. Like it could be a long sell to kind of get other people to have that same
Yeah.
passion on that thing.
One
But
of,
go on.
Yeah, recently a buddy of mine was like, if you think of business like products ideas as like a wave, right? If you create a beverage, it's like the wave is already there,
Right.
right? If you can do it better and have more of a unique product than other people, you hopefully can be successful. With BoomBoom, it's like we've created a new wave, right?
Yeah.
So it's taking more time to like build that up.
Absolutely.
But I feel like with that, there's a lot more opportunity in the long run if it's a good product and you're willing to stick with it.
Well, I also think because the price point it's feasible for the majority of people. It's not so expensive or where people have to think twice or three times, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you can get it down to $3.99. At
Yep.
$7.95, I will say, like even someone who, I have like a little bit of expendable income, I would not be so. I would be like, do I really need it?
Sure.
But $3.99, you're right. Like point of purchase while I'm buying some gum or like whatever
Yeah.
at the front. I might as well like mince. I can just get this and save a couple calories,
Yeah,
for the same
exactly.
thing, right?
Yep.
But okay, so then the on-site psychiatrist. So because I guess like you were saying, to your point, people do have second and third mortgages.
Yeah.
They don't want to have a situation where someone's like, this is like all or die for somebody, and they
Yep.
don't get a deal.
Yep.
So with you seem to be. I don't know you very well, but you seem to be pretty like level-headed.
Yeah, and
Right?
and so one more point to that, which was funny, and I didn't even really expect this because, I don't tend to have like a ton of like fear and worry, and those things come up a lot in my daily life. But the day after Shark Tank, when I woke up, because you do kind of like black out when you're in there.
I'm
Like,
sure.
you don't really remember everything, and so Chelsea, my wife, and I, we both woke up and we were like, "What happened in there?" Like we didn't remember. We're like, oh my gosh, like, well, we got an offer, so like that's good, but like what happened inside the tank? And like
Right.
I genuinely couldn't remember really, like the bits and pieces, of course,
Right.
but it took about 24 hours after that till it like started to come back, and I was like, oh my God, okay, so this happened and that happened, and then I was like, oh, okay, like I can feel good about that. Like
Right.
I know the feeling I had when I left was like very positive, so
Right.
I wouldn't have had that otherwise.
Right.
But that was the one very interesting thing for me where I was like, I came out of there and I felt like, dang, like, I don't know what happened. Did we just like look like idiots on TV?
Right,
Like
right.
you don't know.
You don't know.
And then you definitely don't know how they're going to edit you. So
That's always a problem with TV.
When you sign your life away, it's like a 75-page agreement, and it says multiple times, like, we can edit this however we want.
Right.
And you're going to have to be okay with that.
Wow. So then did you have any interaction with Charles Barkley or any of the other sharks afterwards? Or was like basically you have your 5 minutes to kind of do your pitch and then they kind of just like you get out of there, you do your little post-production thing and then you're out and you never have anything, like you never see them or talk to them again?
So you get a chance to see your setup before you go down and do the real thing, which they were so amazing about. They're like, make sure the setup is exactly how you want it. This is your business. They even say, if you want to scrap the pitch that you've practiced for the last 3 months and say whatever you want, go for it. Like it's genuinely like your business, do whatever you want. And so when you walk down and you see your setup before you're about to go in, some of the sharks are hanging out and they're not talking to you, but you can see them and kind of break the ice. And so the first time those doors open isn't the first time you're seeing them. And so we saw a few of them just hanging out. But then after, they don't even want you to go up and shake hands or anything. It's, hey, if you get a deal, they'll come up to you. And I think part of that is like camera angles and lighting and all that, but no, there was no talking.
Or also they run such a tight ship now. That show is so successful. They have it down to a science of what's going to work, how to get as much out of it and it's like a machine basically.
Yeah.
But then, okay, so I had a question. I heard, and this could be a rumor, that if you do get on and your show airs, right? Even if you don't get a deal or make a deal, Shark Tank, Disney or Shark Tank will get 1% of your company in perpetuity for the rest of your life. Is that true?
No.
It's not true.
It, at least as I understand it, it used to be true.
Okay, so that was something that they had. At some point
that was in place, and I believe Mark Cuban said, if you guys continue doing this, like they had done a few seasons, he's like, I don't think this is fair. I'm not going to do the show anymore if you guys keep taking pieces of companies, basically.
Right.
And so they've stopped. So no, there's no strings attached. I would have given them 1%. Honestly, it was that valuable for us.
Wow. Yeah.
It was. And there's nothing else like it, right? You go in and
there is nothing else like it.
There's nothing else like it.
That exposure to especially I think now we're in like a wave of time where entrepreneurial is like anything that's entrepreneurial. There's such a excitement and the amount of what's the word I would guess this attention on entrepreneurs is I feel bigger than it's ever been.
100%.
Right? Like people are so fascinated by given this, not just this podcast, but a gazillion other podcasts and every other media company is creating things like this to kind of have a peek into what entrepreneurs go through, the habits of entrepreneurs, which is what this is about, right? Which we'll get to later. And that Shark Tank is at the precipice of all of it. It was the original and it's still the best. Yep. I mean, it's worth it to give 1%. Yeah. But I will tell you something, like a little funny thing. Years and years ago, I created a shoe company and I was approached by Shark Tank. It was their first season. No they way. Weren't even, their first season.
And they were probably looking for
and businesses. They were looking for companies and people to put on, right? And, basically, long story short, part of the contract back then was no matter what happens, we're going to take 1% in perpetuity, no matter what. And my partner at the time was like, "That's crazy! I'm not going to do it." So and they're like, "We don't even know what the show is. It could be a total stupid show. We're going to give a percentage away to some nobody,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously that was, looking back at it, I'm happy to hear they didn't that 1%. So I never went on, obviously. But I definitely, if I were to do that decision today, absolutely, I would give that 1%. Yeah. But I'm glad to hear that it's also out of the contract because I do think, it's not fair. These people, it is entertainment. And so you shouldn't be taking a percentage of an poor innocent entrepreneur, right? Especially if they have 7 mortgages on their house, right?
Exactly.
But so then what? Okay, so you had a partner and now you don't have a partner anymore. You're solo running this thing. Or you have is it lean? Do you have a bunch of people working with you? What's your deal?
So I have right now I have 3 full-time people and myself, and then I have a handful of contractors.
Oh, like independent contractors.
Yeah, like graphic design, like ads online, Instagram, Facebook.
Right. Are those helpful?
Oh, that's how I built the business.
Right.
We built the business through running Facebook and Instagram ads and direct messaging people on Instagram, sending out free samples. It's a very small, light product, so we can send this very inexpensively to thousands of people.
So are you basically just picking influencers in health, wellness, or are you picking a lot of like different nutrition? Like who are you picking and who's doing the picking?
So right now
here.
it's a wide variety of people. We're really testing different spaces. So yeah, health and wellness, like power lifters who are already using like smelling salts. The party scene loves it. The cannabis culture loves it as well.
Yeah.
We're creating some new SKUs that are a little bit more mainstream. The tubes are going to be white. There's going to be one specifically for like relaxation that's lavender based. We're doing a CBD infused inhaler, which I'm super pumped about. We're coming out with the whole CBD line.
Of course you are. I feel like you and everyone else.
Yeah. Yep.
Not with this, but like CBD is like the new coconut oil. I feel like everyone has something in CBD coming out.
And so there's a lot of things I'm excited about, and it's an interesting enough product where people are like, oh, I'll try that, and they're interested to learn more, and so we work with a bunch of different influencers and.
Are you paying them, or is it just barter paid? Like they will, get it free. They'll get free inhalers if they just do a post.
That's generally what we do. We've tested some paid stuff, and it does work depending on the influencer. But it's pretty crazy, like with these like micro influencers, people with like under 10,000 followers that are just really hustling and grinding to like build their pages. They have crazy engagement and like really like. People will buy what they're telling them.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a big believer in that. In fact, what I was going to ask you was, have you found that when you do all these social media influencer product giveaways, how helpful has it been to the sales, the bottom line of your business? Has it been, or is it more Facebook ads, digital marketing beyond just social media?
It's the paid advertising stuff is where we can really track it. The influencer stuff is a little bit tougher to track because there's different ways you can set up these campaigns. And, yes, you can use coupon codes to like track stuff, but then it seems a little bit, sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, because it just doesn't seem genuine from these people. So it's like, we found that, yes, it definitely helps the bottom line. Harder to track sometimes than other times, but it's not as specific as like Facebook, where I know if I spend $100, I'm going to get X in return. Which for scaling,
you see a return on your investment right away with that, right? Like because you see a 1 + 1 will equal 2.
Exactly.
And what you just said, I think I agree. The micro influencers, in my experience, are way more effective than doing these like mass people who have got millions of people following them, because most of those people have dead influencers and they're not as engaged.
Exactly.
But someone who has 10,000 or even 5,000, if they will have like their 5,000 are super diehard followers and they care and they're engaged and they're listening. It's way more effective and it's cheaper to get that.
Well, it's for us. It's if I look at sending a 3-pack via USPS first class mail. All in, I can spend $5 and get this out to, let's say, 100 people for $500.
Right.
And I'm going to pay one person $500 for one post. It depends on the influencer. If it's a influencer who's, but you're not going to get anybody crazy big for $500 anyway.
No,
so
you're not.
It's like, is it really worth it? I don't know.
You're not going to get, also your product is not an expensive product though, right? Like, and I think that the problem is like I agree with you. I feel like it could be like one of those things that's like cheap to mail. You have way more bang for your buck sending out like to 1,000 people who will do it for free, quite frankly.
Yep.
Because if they have 5,000 or 8,000 people, they're just happy to get free product.
Exactly.
Right? Versus these big astronomical pages that they want a huge fee. They don't want to do it. They become worse than A-list celebrities. Yeah. You know what I mean? Seriously, like it's easier to give this to like Britney Spears probably than to giving it to some like schmo on social media that just is some random person.
It's a crazy world we live in.
It's a crazy world.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I love it all. But it's really funny from a business side looking at this and being like, okay, does this work? Does it not?
Right.
And making those decisions, and I'm a big fan of like testing things out
Right.
at least once, maybe twice, just to see what happens.
Right.
So we've done some of that stuff through like FameBit and some of these other influencer platforms.
Right.
Where
What's FameBit? Which one is that?
I think YouTube owns them.
Of course.
And it's, yeah, I think they bought them a couple of years ago, but there's a few other ones where they have just like a marketplace of influencers and brands. And you can put, as a brand, you can put up, hey, this specific project. And
oh, yes.
so,
a couple of those. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we've tested some of that, and it's.
But maybe tell me to say that what it is, because I think a lot of people don't know, and that could be that could be a good way or a platform for brands who are looking for exposure. So FameBit is.
Yeah, FameBit is a marketplace for influencers and brands to come together and see if there's an opportunity to work together.
Right.
Where brands can say, hey, I would love you to create a video or insert this into one of your videos organically, and I'm willing to pay $500 or $1,000 or whatever.
Or
and then
$5.
and it's nice. It's a cool process where it's kind of automated, it's trackable. When you pay, it's kind of held in escrow, so they don't get their money until the work is delivered and it's approved. And it's just a systematic way for brands to like start to dabble in like the influencer world.
Right. And then, okay, I have a couple other questions for you, and then you can go home. Or not. You can stay all day.
I'll be here all day.
Yeah, you can be here all day. It's fine. First of all, do you have like a rollout for what's next? Or you're going to try to be like you're going to pick one product, do it extremely well, and that's how you're going to make your fortune? Or are you thinking like in 2020, 2021, I want to come out with X as an brand extension?
So as an entrepreneur, as you probably know, I call it shiny object syndrome, where you're like,
yes,
oh my God, I want to do that. I want to do that. And I've gotten caught up in that a few times and always look back and be like, you just got to stay the course.
100% true.
Yeah. And I've learned that lesson a couple of times. But for BoomBoom, we have an essential oil roll-on line. So we have 4 other SKUs that are like organic essential oil blends that you roll on your skin and you put around, smell really good for like different
I'm wearing
uses.
one right now.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. I'll follow up with you and send some, but they're great. And so I think having that as like a nice add-on to the online store is amazing. For me, I am laser focused on getting these inhalers and every other inhaler that we roll out, like our sleep one or our nausea one that we're coming out with, in the stores, and like being the brand. When you associate anything nasal inhaler, it's like BoomBoom. Like even if it's not a BoomBoom, oh, that's a BoomBoom. And that's my
like Kleenex as for like tissues. Yeah.
Exactly. That's my bigger plan and vision for this.
Like it's synonymous with what it is, basically.
And I'll throw this out there on camera. It's like I want the people at Vicks, to be like sitting around a table in like 5 years from now being like, what is happening to our inhaler sales? Like why is nobody buying our product anymore? And they'll do some research and they'll be like, oh my God, BoomBoom is just crushing us with all of these different SKUs they have. And here's the audience they built online and have kind of built this story around aromatherapy and like putting things in your nose that are healthy for you.
Right. Not Coke.
Yeah. And, and like, I see that.
Joke.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
I see that as kind of the future of BoomBoom and what I'm going to be staying laser focused on until that happens. And I don't know how long it's going to take, but I think we have we got a big head start with our Shark Tank appearance, with us being the first like flavored nasal inhaler available. And so anything that's not going to help that mission out, like I'm just going to kind of avoid.
By the way, when your show reran, did you have that huge spike again? And did it drop really quickly right after, or what?
The night it aired, we hit about 50% of what we did the first time. And then it did drop off a bit quicker.
Right.
So it wasn't as big of a, as a push, but I think it gets like syndicated on like CNBC and like all these other places.
Oh God, yeah.
I'm like, just keep showing it. Like it's going to be a nice little bump, I think, anytime we get re-aired. But I don't know how often that'll be or when or where. But
right. And what's your projection for revenue come this following year?
So this year, Right now, I think we have projected to be at about 2.
Okay, that's a good jump from
Yeah,
one.
that's a good jump, and I definitely think that's doable. If we get into some of these retail accounts sooner, it could be higher. But usually, from what I'm now learning with my new sales guy, who's great, it's going to take a little bit longer. Like you'll get some tests going, and then hey, they'll be doing a category review, and then they'll push you into stores on the West Coast, and then East Coast, and then so it could take 2-3 years. I don't know, but I think at least online we're going to be able to hit 2 million this year.
Oh, that's good. And then how about trade? Are you doing like the natural, like Expo and all that stuff?
Yeah, we're doing Expo West this year for the first time.
For the first time.
We're pumped about that.
Place.
Yeah, it's the best. I love that trade show.
Wow, I love it. So you've never been before as,
I've been.
as a vendor?
No, not as a vendor.
Not as a vendor.
Yep,
Where are you going to be? Are you going to be on the third floor? Or are you going to be
We're going to be in the Hilton Hot Products.
Yeah, Hot Product.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So we'll be there, which will be,
we're
like designing our like backdrop and doing all that right now. So it'll be fun. And then we're doing ASD, which is out in Vegas.
Which one is the ASD?
It's like a really big show, a lot of different categories, but we'll be sitting in like the C store and like culture right on the border there.
Gotcha. Okay. You're not doing Expo East, are you?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. And we're starting with those two, and then hopefully we'll start getting into more like distributor shows.
Right.
So like the McLean's and Cormarks and HT Hackney, those are like they're distributing to all the convenience stores and some of these other places. That'll take a little bit of time, but that's where you can go into the show and like you're just taking orders.
Right.
If people like it, like, okay, send it to this store, and then they just pump the orders through McLean or Cormark.
Whatever
the distributor is.
And then let me just go back one second. Is this your first undertaking as an entrepreneur, or did you try something as a kid? Were you always very entrepreneurial, or this was kind of like my family, my parents were doing this, and therefore it was a nice kind of segue into this?
I've always felt very entrepreneurial. My grandpa was an entrepreneur, started a big garbage business from like scratch. My sister's an entrepreneur. And so when I came out of Emory, I was looking for entrepreneurial type of roles. I knew I wasn't ready to go do something myself. I didn't have any experience. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was super fortunate and got hired on as the first employee at a company that's now called Snack Nation.
I know Snack Nation.
Really?
You were hired. Do you know Sean Kelly?
Yeah.
I know Sean Kelly. Hi, Sean Kelly. I'm a friend of Sean.
Well, Sean Kelly is the other co-founder of BoomBoom. So.
Are you kidding me?
I swear to God. So I was their first employee. Sean and Andy are business partners. It was called Human Healthy Vending at the time.
I know Human Healthy. Of course.
So I was the first employee there, and
why didn't I know any of this?
This is hilarious. And so, but the funny thing is we were building that business, and that grew really quickly. And I was like, this was at year like 4 or 5, and I was like with Sean and Andy, and I was like, guys, like I like got the itch, like I got to go do something else. And like BoomBoom was always this side project that Sean and I had been working on, and they're like, look. Why don't you stay here for a little bit longer? You can either do like the micro market Los Angeles kind of push, which was like these markets building in offices, or why don't you take a stab at starting our e-commerce like direct to consumer box? And I was like, that's what I want to do.
I get that email every day.
And so I did a bunch of research, and I was like, guys, like I don't think going direct to consumer is the path right now for this part of the business because there's so many people already doing it, but let's go B2B. Let's sell boxes of bigger boxes to businesses. We have all of these leads that are smaller offices where we couldn't service with the vending program. I was like, we have all these leads. And so that was like the birth of Snack Nation. And so I grinded on that for like 2 years almost. I was packing boxes. I built the sales team out. And then I was like, I went all in with BoomBoom at that time. And then they were like, they had some investors and stuff at that point. And then they said, we're running with Snack Nation, like that's like the whole business now. And they have like 150 people. They've raised a bunch of money, and they're crushing it.
They're crushing it.
So Sean and Andy are both like my mentors. They're awesome.
Oh
they're
my
friends.
God.
Yeah.
You know, so funny. I was thinking the other day, I'm like, okay, you know what? First, you're going to tell Sean that you came on this podcast.
Yeah.
And tell Sean to come on this podcast because I would love to have him.
Yeah.
I love I love his whole story. He's a go-getter.
Oh, Sean. Yeah. Sean is a hustler.
Yeah, he's a hustler.
Super smart. He is really great with people.
Yeah, he is.
He knows how to build a business. Like that's how I was able to honestly take BoomBoom and just run with it because of everything that I learned, working with them.
That's
So,
great.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I love
Yeah.
I love that we ended with that. Like that
Yeah.
should have been the beginning, really,
Yeah.
right? Like I had no idea you were at Snack Nation. I
Yep.
mean, it's amazing, the whole thing. And by the way, Snack Nation, as like the human, was they had like healthy vending machines. Is
Yep.
basically what the company started with.
Healthy. You think of vending machines, and it was healthier for you
Yeah,
snacks.
healthy free snacks. Yeah,
And we had a bunch of franchisees all around the country, and it was
smart.
Yeah, and then that morphed into this business because a lot of companies now offer free snacks for their employees, and so
Why not make it healthy?
We were just calling office managers and HR managers and saying, look, like your employees are currently eating crap out of the vending machines. Like, let us send you a box. It costs $250 a month. You're gonna get 150 snacks, and it's a subscription business, and they're doing well. So.
Yeah, they're doing okay. That's for sure, right? Oh my gosh, well, funny. Well, okay, so I got to end with this. What is your morning routine like? Because I ask that to everybody because I'm all about habits and routines here
Yes.
at Habits and Hustle.
Yep.
So give me like a day in the life of you.
Yeah. So I recently had a baby. Well, my wife had the baby.
You had the baby?
My wife, 1.5 years old now. So
Congratulations.
thank you. It's been amazing. Peter is his name.
Oh, very cute.
And that's changed things a little bit, obviously.
Yeah, I'd say so. I get it.
But in my morning routine, I'd say is hit about 80% of the time. If Peter's up at 4 and was crying, things get shifted. But if I'm not working out, I'll usually hit my workout in the middle of the day. I'll get up. I'll do.
What time do you wake up?
6:30.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll wake up 6:30 unless I'm up with Peter earlier. But 6:30, we'll do a big glass of water. I do 50 body weight squats, 50 push-ups, just to like get going.
Get the blood circulating. Yeah.
Yep. Always do just like a small breakfast. I always make bulletproof coffee, probably like 80% of the mornings, just to kind of feel a little bit more full and I feel like get more out of my coffee. But do that, avocado, maybe an egg. And then before or after my morning huddle with my team, I do 20 minutes of meditation. So
20 minutes of meditation.
Twice a day, 20. I took a transcendental meditation course and I'm like, this is amazing. Like, why isn't everybody doing this?
Yeah, people love that. People swear by that. Say it's changed their lives. It's transformed their lives.
Yeah.
Especially the kind that, what's
transcendental. It's mantra based. So it basically, you focus on a mantra, not out loud, it's just in your head. And your brain wants to go towards things and focus on things and think of things. And when you can bring it back to like a mantra, it helps it calm the mind. And so I've seen amazing benefits from it. I always try to get 20 minutes in twice a day. Sometimes I only hit it once a day.
That's amazing. I can't even do 20 seconds.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is like right up there with eating as clean as possible and working out, like meditation is at the very top of the list with those two things. And so that's been a game changer for me. I took that course in April of this year or last year. So it's been, like 7-8 months or whatever that is. And then I'll crush through the workday. I'll usually get home to relieve the nanny at like 3:30. So we have a nanny a few days a week, 8:30 to 3:30. And then I'm on dad duty until Chelsea comes home. And then we do dinner together. And then we try to have our phones like down and just like off, somewhere else by like 8:30. And then in bed by 9:30.
You go to bed every night at 9:30?
Our goal is to be in bed at 9:30.
Interesting. I love that because, I ask this to everybody, not just from this podcast, but from my Forbes column, whatever, anybody who's an entrepreneur, successful person. And it's the same. Some of the things are very, very similar no matter what, waking up super early, going to bed super early. And meditation is up there as well. The only difference is you said the other kind of meditation, which is why I think, did you start with like basic? I wouldn't say basic, but just meditation. And then you kind of ricocheted more into transcendental.
I was using like Headspace, the app.
Yeah.
And
good app.
Yeah, great app. And I guess for me, I wanted to and I still use that app sometimes, honestly. But I guess I wanted to have a little bit more like coaching behind it,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense. Like, hey, like what is there's a lot of studies on like mantra based meditation where they're showing like different brain activities and brain waves coming in at different, different times. And it's like, I wanted to learn about that and be like, what is like the science behind this and why is it working for people? And that's what I got going and taking that course. It's like a 4-day thing.
What
for
is
like
the science behind it?
it's really about your mind focusing. So there's a few different types of meditation, but when you are like intentional meditation, for example, and you're like setting an intention, and you're thinking about that and you're going over it in your head, like that's one thing, but your mind is still going to be going all over the place. Whereas with transcendental, you allow your mind to wander, and that's okay. It's totally fine. You can itch yourself. You don't need to be sitting still. You're just kind of sitting there, but you always come back to the mantra because it really does allow your brain to get into a place of like deep, like calmness. And like, you can come out of that feeling like everything's kind of like, at least for me, like kind of slowed down a little bit. And like, it seems crazy, but like the leaves are brighter and like the sun is, it's pretty
amazing.
Everybody has their own experience with it. So I don't want to put things out there that people aren't experiencing, but for me,
right.
It's been pretty cool.
Right. It's your experience. Everyone has a different, unique experience.
And I think like it's one component of like a healthy lifestyle. Like if I'm eating like crap and, staying up late and smoking cigarettes, like I don't think you're gonna have the same impact
Absolutely, right.
as if you're, hey, I'm eating super clean and I'm getting good rest. Like I think your body will respond a lot better.
Right.
To something like that. So
it's
I think
holistic. It's everything combined. It's not just one. It's not a one-off. Yeah. But you're saying the game changer for you is this transcendental meditation. Yeah. And did you work up to 20 minutes? Or you were like,
sometimes I only hit 10. Right. The goal is 20. Okay. You can do it for 5. You're going to get the benefit out of it. I think if you hit it for that longer period.
That's excellent.
So that's been a big game changer. And then I think just to kind of like close it out, the other big thing for me specifically has been the last couple of years, like really waking up to like what foods are good for you and not. And like really going down that path of understanding like, hey, these things are going to be good for you. These things are not. And like, do everything you can to eat as much of this and as little of this. And like before it was more of this like unconscious, like, oh, like, okay, that's fine. I'll do this. And like, I'm working out, but like, I did see some negative impacts on my health through the foods I was eating. And like, since then I'd lost like 35 pounds and like had some brain fog and like some weird things had come up.
Wow. You've lost a lot of weight. You're so skinny.
Yeah. It's like
slim.
It's just eating things that.
Be more conscious of what you're putting in your body. So you're thinking, so that's basically it. I still think that transcendental meditation though, I think it does do like any form of meditation, from what I'm told, because I'm still trying to practice this, is a real game changer. Yeah, for people.
Yeah,
I center them
for sure
and calm them.
I think most people, if you would have asked me a year ago, would you be meditating twice a day? I would have been like, you are absolutely out of your mind. There's 0% chance I'd be doing that.
Right.
So
and look at you now.
I think things come to you when you need them. I'm a big believer in that. And when you're like ready for them. And some people need different things than other things. Right. And so for me, that was something that kind of fell in my lap, and I was like, okay, I'll try it out. And
and it worked out for you.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, I think that's good. I think I covered everything with you. Unless there's anything else you want to talk about.
I think that's great. I think we probably should at least end with a boom boom. Cheers.
I think we should. Should we put them up our nose just for shits and giggles?
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Amazing. Woo!
Love it.
Wow.
Love it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Thank
you for coming.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Awesome.
Bye.
Yeah.
I think we're good.